Hi everyone, this is Elena of the Witches Box, and I'm here today with another episode of Witch Booktube. And today we're going to be talking about another one of Sharon Blackie's books. I think I mentioned that I read quite a few of her books in a big book binge in December, and this is definitely one of those books, and it's called The Enchanted Life: Unlocking the Magic of the Everyday. I really, really loved this book. I think that her writing at this point in my reading life is speaking to a part of me that is really seeking deeper connection. So this book isn't necessarily geared towards witches, but what it is geared towards is something that I mentioned before we're going to be talking a lot about this year at the Witches Box, which is the spirituality of witchcraft, of witches. And anything that has to do with deeper mindful connection will serve that in a really rich and beautiful way. And this book does that incredibly. She's really great at weaving personal anecdotal stories about her own direct experience with mixing psychology, folklore, history, ecofeminism, ecology, and facts and science together in a really beautiful tapestry. Mainly what this book addresses is the type of psychological and spiritual wounding that we in Western culture suffer from because of the type of lifestyles that we are now almost required to live. This fast-paced, hyper internet technology connected, overworked, overscheduled, hyper-stimulated way in which that we live, which really wounds and stifles our capacity for connection to ourselves, connections to soul, connection to one another, connection to the place and to the land and to the nature in our lives. It's a true story. We all live it. We don't have to look very far for evidence of this to be a true statement. But she addresses that and what that does to our souls, but also then uses this book as a way to map for us a way of reconnecting, of re-enchanting ourselves. We talked about enchantment as opposed to not enchantment, I think, in one of the books that we read last year by Jason Miller from a different context. But I think that opening our lives to enchantment has everything to do with presence and mindfulness. And what needs to happen to cultivate those things is to create a practice of stillness, which really our lives are not really quite cut out for. This is basically what this book covers, and she does it in a really beautiful way through countless examples. I'm going to read to you her very, very basic preliminary definition of what enchantment is, and this is in the very beginning of the book, and then she will go into the entire book explaining to you what it is, how to create it, and how it nourishes us in our lives. Okay, what does it actually mean to be enchanted? How do you do it? What are the components of an enchanted frame of mind? What is actually going on inside of us when we're enchanted? What is the lived experience of it for us as individuals? As a psychologist, these questions interest me much more. And as a human being planted in a world which is in various and varying states of growing crisis, they seem to me to be definitely more essential. When we turn to the usual sources of definitions for clues about what enchantment is, they offer us very little help. The Oxford Dictionary provides two possible meanings, which are echoed in other major dictionaries in the English-speaking world. Number one, a feeling of great pleasure and delight. And number two, the state of being under a spell or magic. In other words, the word as it is commonly used today is associated either with the practice of magic or with a feeling of pleasure at something which is charming. But if we return to Weber's idea of disenchantment as characterized by rationalization and intellectualization as a stripping away of everything that we once held sacred in the world, then we approach much more interesting territory when we begin to think about what the opposite of that state might be. I believe that the state of enchantment has four major components. One, it is founded upon a sense of fully participating in a living world, a feeling of belonging rather than separation. Number two, it incorporates feelings of wonder and curiosity. To be enchanted is to be comfortable with the fact that not everything can be explained, to tolerate, even welcome, the presence of mystery. Number 3, enchantment is not all in the head. It is very much a function of our lived, embodied experience in the world. And number 4, enchantment is an emanation of the mythic imagination and is founded on an acknowledgement of myth and story as living principles in the world. First of all, that's all very beautiful and I love it. And then she goes on for the rest of the book, do you see, to discuss what enchantment is and how to incorporate it and bring it back into your life through cultivating mindfulness, embodiment, and presence in a really beautiful way. And often books like this get overlooked in the witches sphere when you want to learn about witchcraft, because it doesn't speak directly to what it is to be a witch and what witchcraft is. But I would say to you that this is at the basis and heart of a witch's spirituality. Your capacity for connection, your capacity for presence and full embodiment, she defines as enchantment. But I would say that that's just the foundation of what it is to be a witch. And our world does not facilitate your capacity for connection, your capacity for embodiment, your capacity for understanding your place in the land that you inhabit. It just doesn't support that. There is too much noise, there's too much requirement, there's too much madness going on in our world. And so what she speaks to here is ways in which to reweave yourself back into those places, ways in which to create enchantment through presence, through embodiment. It is beautiful. It is a really beautiful book, very well thought out, very well explained. She weaves story beautifully through the science, through the folklore, through the psychology, so that it makes it accessible in various ways at the same time. Beautiful. It's very complex. She speaks beautifully of our need for belongingness, and not just belongingness to others, but to ourselves, and our capacity to belong to ourselves, our capacity to belong to the geography, the land that we live on, how to connect with that belongingness. Really, just gorgeous. At the very end, she gives like a little manifesto for the enchanted life. I'm going to share this with you, but by no means do I want you to think that this list is exactly what you need to get from the book. So don't buy it, because I really think that this is a book that we should all be reading and we should all have as part of our spiritual nourishment. I gave this a 4-star. I think it's just gorgeous. So I'm going to read to you a quickie list. She has a manifesto for the enchanted life. Number 1, everything around you is alive. Believe it. Tell stories to stones, sing to trees, start conversations with birds, build relationships. You'll never be lonely again. Number 2, to be fully in your body is to be fully alive. Get out of your head and into the world. Number 3, look for the wonder wherever you go. Be all your life. As American poet Mary Oliver suggested, a bride married to amazement. Number 4, embrace mystery. Don't be afraid of what you don't know. Number 5, cultivate your mythic imagination, the inner and outer landscape of myth. This is so important and so beautiful. Number 6, know your place, learn to belong, because wherever you go, there you are. There's nowhere else real to be. Number 7, cleave to the local and the ethical. Cultivate community spirit and autonomy. Number 8, slow down. Slow down, slow down, slow down. Number 9, create. Buy handmade, live folklorically. Number 10, don't have a career, have a life. Find your calling, but above all, find your meaning in the community of the world. Number 11, foster meaningful ritual, make each day a ceremony, or make a ceremony each day. Number 12, cherish otherness in all its forms, confront in yourself and explore the forms of otherness which make you uncomfortable and afraid. And number 13, treasure change. It is the stuff from which lives are forged. Stop looking for the eternal and immutable and enter into the daily dance of the transitory. This is a really beautiful book. I highly recommend it. The Enchanted Life, Unlocking the Magic of the Everyday. This to me is part of the foundation of what a witch is and what a witch's spiritual life entails. It's a beautiful book. I highly recommend it. If you've read it, if you've read any of her other works, please comment below. Tell me what your experience with it is. Tell me of other books that speak to this as well, because I'm really, really, really enjoying reading about this level of connection with our environment, with ourselves, and with land. She speaks a lot about place and land and geography in a really gorgeous way. All of that. The links to this book are below. The links to all her other books are also below. Yeah, talk to me. Tell me what you're thinking about what you're reading, about this book, if you've read it, if you've read anything else that she's written. I'd love to hear what your thoughts on that are. And I will be back with more books, well, soon. See you all later. Blessed be.